I want to bring in now Washington Post congressional reporter Sean Sullivan, also Katie Glick, senior political correspondent for McClatchy Newspapers, and Brian Darling, a former staffer for Republican Senator Rand Paul and a columnist with The Observer. All right, so Sean, let me begin with you, and we move back to healthcare. We'll get on to Russia in a second. But can Mitch McConnell get something over the finish line this week, even if it's just a procedural vote on debate?
It doesn't look like it at this point. Any way you slice it, whether it's just repeal, whether it's repeal and replace, whether it's some, alternative to either of those, the reality is right now the votes just aren't there. You have opposition from centrist Republicans like Susan Collins. You have opposition from conservatives like Rand Paul. And at this point, we don't even know if McConnell is going to get to the point where he can even begin debate on a bill to either repeal and replace the current health care law. So at this point, the votes aren't there. Something's got to change in the next 48 hours for him to be able to advance the ball. All right.
So, yeah, a lot of pressure over the next 2 days. And, Brian, listen to this, because Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, he's pretty adamant that it's not going anywhere. And he talked about it this morning about what would then be triggered. Take a listen.
So the first things we're going to propose, if the Republicans hopefully will join us once they abandon this rotten bill, is some cost sharing, which the insurance companies say will help bring down premiums and stabilize the market. Something else that Republicans have often supported, which is reinsurance, proposed by Tom Carper and Tim Kaine.
So, Brian, would Republicans, do you think, be in the mood to negotiate if this latest bid collapses, as Schumer is proposing there?
Well, they shouldn't. I mean, Democrats steamrolled Republicans when they passed it, and this bill, this law is failing. It is resulting in increased premiums and less coverage. So I don't think that Republicans should cave to Chuck Schumer's wishes. I think this bill, the bill that's pending right now, we are not sure whether the Senate is going to move to proceed to the House-passed reconciliation measure, the Senate-crafted reconciliation measure, or some permutation of the two. We don't actually know what they're going to vote on. But what we do know is all of the versions have a bailout of insurance companies, and that's what Chuck Schumer's proposing, even a bigger bailout. Cost sharing is a bigger bailout of the insurance companies. Conservatives should not support that. That's not going to be helpful to the markets. Ultimately, it's going to be a Band-Aid that will solve the problem in the short term, but create even bigger problems in the long term.
Katie, we watched this week, as the president tried to make chums with Senate Republicans and be friendly and use the charm offensive, the power of the White House. But he also has been tweeting about this, saying that Republican senators must step up to the plate after 7 years vote to repeal and replace next tax reform and infrastructure win, exclamation point. Do you think that his charm offensive is working in any way?
Well, there's no question that Republican lawmakers do face quite a bit of pressure to get something done that they can say it meets their years-long promise to repeal Obamacare. And so certainly we are seeing that very public pressure from the president on his Twitter feed. And of course, that White House has been working behind the scenes, really trying to ramp up that pressure over the last couple of weeks. And then certainly there's also a lot of pressure from the Republican grassroots. But as Sean noted, there are so many different factions here that assembling a coalition that could actually get Republicans to yes looks very daunting at this moment.
And Sean, I know that you co-authored a piece this afternoon on the Post website looking at the GOP infighting. In this, you quote the founder of the American Spectator, that's a conservative magazine. They say, in the 50 years I've been involved, Republicans have yet to figure out how to support each other. So is this not anything new, especially considering the fact that the Republicans have the White House, the Senate, and the House?
Yeah, the fighting itself is not new, but it's remarkable if you pull back, because we're 6 months removed from a point when, as you said, the Republicans took control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. They control all of the government right now. And so you would think that in that position, they would find ways to work together. They would find ways to advance the ball on their legislative goals. But the reality is they haven't. And just look at this healthcare debate. They've been debating this thing for months, and they've made very, very little headway. They've lost progress, arguably, along the way. And we're starting starting to see the finger pointing start. We're starting to see the blame game begin. We're starting to see conservatives point fingers at moderates, moderates point fingers at conservatives. We're starting to see the president himself threaten members of his own party with electoral consequences.
Primary challenges, yes.
So it's a remarkable level of discord that we're seeing right now. It is nothing new for the Republican Party, but it's pretty stunning when you think about the fact that they have the keys to the car right now. They control this thing, and they're still fighting with each other.
Well, we'll continue to watch it. Sean Sullivan, Katie Glick, and Brian Darling, great to have you on. Thank you very much.